I was waiting until it was 8:30 just to be. My computer says 8:29. There we go, 8:30. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Finance and Risk Management Committee. My name is Brenda Sharp. I'm the chair of the committee. This is my first time to chair this committee, so bear with me if I forget to call for certain actions or something. Want to welcome Belinda Katz, a new member to our committee as well, and thank you and appreciate your time with us and coming a little early on this day after a long.
I was
set of days.
worried about being late.
We're very glad to have you. We do have a quorum present, and so I will call this meeting to order. There are no on-site packets. Any additions or revisions to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, we will stick to our current agenda. Any announcements? Okay. You have the minutes available in your packet. I'll give you a second just to review, and when ready, I would accept a motion to approve the minutes from the September 10th meeting.
So I move to approve the minutes from the September 10th, 2025 Finance Committee meeting as written.
I have a motion, a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. A motion, a second. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the September 10th, 2025 committee meeting, Finance Committee meeting as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we have several updates. We're going to try to go as quickly as possible through these since we have a lot of things to prepare for our next meeting. But Carol, if you could give us an agency finance report update, please.
Yeah, that's on page 5 in your packet. And as a reminder, this is the cash balance report. So that is the cash balance that we have on hand at that point in time. Sometimes that's confused with our fee fund. And when we talk about what would be in our fee fund at the end of our fiscal year and stuff like that, we'll talk about the fee fund here in just a minute. So you can see that right now it's around 5.4 million. I also, on the next page, I have on page 6 is the revenue that we have brought in. So you can kind of see, it stays pretty stable for the most part. It goes up, close to graduation time. But other than that, it seems to be doing pretty good, kind of what we think. And then on page 7 is the expenditures for so far this fiscal year. Fiscal year started July 1st. Any questions on that?
Okay. Would you like to proceed with the overview of the fiscal year 26 and 27?
Sure. On page 8 and 9 is what I'll be referring to in the packet. Where the budget is right now has been approved by the Division of Budget. So now Legislative Research is working on it for the governor's budget. And this is for fiscal year 26 and 27. Fiscal year 26, we got the appropriations last year. And we did not ask for any changes to that. So that's staying the same as it was submitted last year. For fiscal year 27, we did have to put in a change package of $43,195 for the pay plan. That's kind of how they do it over there. When they give an increase to employees, they usually put it in the budget for the next fiscal year, but not the following fiscal years. So you have to, if you want it to continue, unless you can get it in your appropriations, you have to ask for a change package. And that's not going to be a problem because they know that we're going to do that. So what you have on page 8 is just kind of an overview of the fee fund balance because we get a lot of questions about our fee fund, why we have so much in our fee fund. I just want to again say that the fee fund is our emergency fund also. Some people feel like we have too much in our fee fund, but I've asked the question and I've been told it's good to keep at least 1 to 1.5 of your expenditures. Okay, our expenditures
1 year.
1 year, yeah, thank you. And our expenditures in 1 year run around 4 million. So that's the reason you'll see that. So anyway, you do just see the beginning and the ending balance there. You will see that it does go down some, our expenditures go up. And the reason for that is, we're asked to do more and more with software and everything like that. And we've run a lot of that lately, and you need to update this, you need to upgrade this and stuff like that. That all usually costs a little bit more money every time. And then yearly, those expenditures go up, like, yeah, software maintenance and all of that. So that's where a lot of that increase comes from. And then you'll see the revenue and the expenditures. There's a chart there that talks about fiscal year 22, 23, and 24, and then 25, just to kind of show you. The one that we really probably pay a lot of attention with revenue is the license services, because that's our license fees. And you will see that dip down a little bit from fiscal year 22, but it is looking like it's on the rise again. And if you look at page 9, you will see that one of the reasons for that is the number of our licensees have increased. So we're very glad to see that. Yeah, so anyway, that's kind of that. And then there's just a chart that talks about our expenditures too. And most of the software and the IT stuff either falls in contractual services or capital outlay. You'll see the changes in that. So the next step for the budget is the budget hearings on both the House and the Senate. There was a special committee on state budget that has been meeting. However, they did not have us go over, or most of the fee-funded agencies, they didn't bring over. So I think probably we'll just have those in the House and the Senate. And those will be scheduled usually right after the session starts, is usually when they do those, so they can start working on the budget.
Okay. Committee members, any questions for Carol? Okay. Let's move to the LPA update. I think Adrian, you're going to share that with us.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Just give a brief little update on the LPA stands for Legislative Post Audit. And about 6 months or so ago, we had a cybersecurity audit that took about 2.5 months to get through. I thought we were actually done at the last meeting, but I found out we actually had another committee we had to go before. So we had to go before the Joint Committee on Information Technology over at the Capitol and did basically the same process that we did for the LPA committee itself. And I'm pleased to say that we did actually have a very good report in the eyes of the committee. There was some recommendations, some little things that we needed to change in terms of policy and some what I call just goofy mess ups. We had to update a couple contacts on a few policies that we had out of date. But other than that, it's been a pretty seamless thing. We accepted all the recommendations from the committee or from the auditors, and we're pushing through those. And I believe the LPA auditors will be back either in February or March to check our status. And we think we're going to be more than ready for that. So they did have very good feedback for the board, which was nice to hear. And so we're moving on. So.
Thank you. I think you're next.
Yeah, absolutely. The COOP stands for Continuity of Operations Planning. And every year we go through a process where we look at the continuity of operations plan and work with staff to determine, it's kind of like the worst case scenario type of document where you're planning on, something happening to the building or something happening to key staff or anything like that. And I'm pleased to say that I have turned this over to Andy to take control of this for me. So that was nice. He's doing an excellent job. I've been to about 4 or 5 different trainings, and he's making all the contacts. And he hosted a training session for us about a week ago for staff, and we went through different scenarios of how we would handle things. And that's part of our annual planning. This is a governor's executive order that we do this. So we'll be submitting that in January or February, to the Department of Emergency Management Services, and they'll do a once over and give us kind of a rating. And if we find that we need to tweak something, we'll tweak it and keep going. So Good job. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Okay. And you're up again.
The end of life for the licensing software, I think I told the committee at the last board meeting, or maybe the one before that, that our company System Automation is going to be retiring the My License Office product, which is what we use for our licensing. Pleased to announce that we did deploy their next version called Evoke for our discipline, investigative, and board portal and complaint submission. With that particular system, we're doing I call it the slow and steady wins the race deployment. So we're tiptoeing in and making sure that we have everything ready. The investigative discipline team's done a wonderful job working on that, and it's been kind of a whole of effort for the entire agency. So that's a really big win, and I'm very pleased with the way that the staff have worked through that. Colton did a wonderful job as well, getting it all set up on that end. So kudos to you too, Colton. And so now we're ready for the next phase, which is to migrate the licensing system. And the difference between the two that we have now is the investigative and discipline was a very manual process. So there was no like data conversion and those sorts of things, where the licensing system will be an actual conversion and migration, or what we call a lift and shift. And so we'll be working on that with the company. Obviously, we don't know the funding or any of that yet. That's what we're working through. We'll bring that back to committee, and then we'll have to go through the full state procurement, cybersecurity approvals. You know, this is not, unfortunately, a quick thing, but it does have all the enhanced functionality that everybody's looking for, and gives you more of that. I don't want to promise it, but more like the Amazon-like experience, where you have notifications and reminders at whatever intervals we want to do it. It's all embedded and it's holistic to the system itself, instead of all these bolt-on programs like we're doing now to try to accommodate things. So that'll make it easier. There's a lot of reporting capabilities and mobile functionality, cybersecurity. ADA is going to be a very big thing. There's some new policies going live at the federal government next year. So we just need to make sure all of our systems are up to snuff. And we believe that this, with the success, leading on the success that we've had with Evoke now, that this would be a natural progression, and it is the same company. So, you know, they know us and that sort of thing. So that's helpful, but it's kind of where we're at.
Well, we really, really appreciate the staff's efforts on this. It's a huge deal. It helps us respond to public feedback that we've received. And I know from the investigative disciplinary committee, we are super excited to have this not be a manual process any longer. I think it'll improve all of our consistency, accountability, and transparency. And I appreciate everything you're doing.
Well, it's definitely a whole of agency thing. It's not an IT or operations thing. It's everybody's going in. And so, in fact, they've been to the trainings, some of the conferences for me when I was here for the post audit. So the team has done a really wonderful job. It really has.
Well, kudos to everyone.
I know that I feel like you just said it and you've said it before, and just catch it. What is the time? What's the time frame for that?
Well, obviously I can't like promise, because of the state processes that we have to go to is quite a bit more in depth than what we have had to deal with in the past. So I'm guessing that particular part of the project will more than likely take 4 or 5 months to get through the cybersecurity, potential RFP, that sort of thing. But obviously we have to have the funding first, or close to somewhere in there, so that we know what we're shooting for. And depending on how all of those turn out, I'm thinking 8 to 12 months, maybe, by the time it gets, realizing that they also, my colleague from the Virginia Board of Nursing is in here. They also use the same system, and everybody else in their environment is also doing these projects at the same time to meet the deadline. So we're not the only group in this thing. And so the company is a large company, but it's not large like a Microsoft tech company. So they too will have to stagger their projects. So I'm anticipating we'll be potentially live by the time of the end of life, which is about mid-2027, if everything goes exactly as planned.
Wow.
Okay. Anything else? Any other questions for staff? Okay, I don't believe we have any new business. And we do not have an executive session. Oh, I'm sorry, Carol, thank you. I missed that
That's
one.
okay.
Carol's going to review, as you all recall, we are in the process of doing a required legislative review plans, along with every other agency. So,
Yes.
and this is part of the normal process. So Carol's going to overview how, she's going to recommend how we proceed here.
Okay, thank you. If you've been on other committees, which you guys may have, you've heard about this in every committee. On page 10 in your packet is the start of this, and what we're doing is we're combining two processes that we've done in the past. We've always done for years, as long as I've been here and way before, we've done a 5-year review of all of our statutes and regulations, but maybe not quite to the extent that we're required to now by legislation, and we have to submit a very long report, right, Andy? Very long. So anyway, we're combining those two together. And so what this means for all the committees is what we're doing here in December is we are showing you the ones that you have to review in 2026, and that's on page 12 in your packet. And then there's a sample draft following on page 13 of the report that we have to fill out for each one of these. And so how we've done this in the past is I put a certain number of these in your packet with the form. You all have a chance to review that, kind of get your thoughts together, and then come back to the meeting, discuss it, and we get the form filled out the way that you want it to. And then we do the same thing for each committee meeting, unless you want to try to do them all at one time. Usually in the past, they've kind of split up what they have to do for a year, because you have to do these within 2026. How you as a committee choose to do it is up to you. So I guess that's kind of what I need. If you have any questions, and then if you look at page 12 and see this list, how do you want these split up so that I can provide the information in the packet that you need?
It looks like we have 15 to review, so I would suggest we do 5 per. And that gives us 1 extra meeting if we need to do any cleanup or go over, since we have such a brief amount of time in this committee meeting. You know, if we were doing that today, we'd have 10 minutes, so.
Yeah, I know.
So let's shoot for 5 and
Okay.
just see how far we get each time,
Okay.
and then we'll have 1 meeting left to do any cleanup that we need to.
Okay, so you just want
Is
the,
that okay, Andrea and Belinda?
Yeah, makes sense to me.
so you just want the first 5
Let's do first
in
5
March?
in March.
Okay, okay. Thank you. I will do that.
Okay, yeah, there is no other new business. No executive session. The agenda for the 26th committee meeting, any additions or anything the committee wants to have included?
We'll have, of course, the agency finance report, the overview of the budget, because the next meeting will be the end of March, so we will have had budget hearings and won't hear back, but we'll have had those. And we probably will have maybe that visit back on the LPA that we can tell you about. Anything new on the end of life licensing
Yeah.
software?
I'm hoping to have some quotes in time, maybe a little tighter timeline by then.
Yeah,
We were hoping to have it this week, but next.
Anything else from our risk management perspective, since we combine these?
The continuity of operations plan and LPA were really kind of daisy chained in there, so I think by that time we'll know if it's been accepted. So we can report back out on that.
Okay,
If we find that's anything on the continuity of operations plan that, or the LPA audit, we should have our auditors recheck that in too.
okay, so it sounds like we'll pretty much revisit.
Yeah.
every one of these. Or-
And they'll be quick updates, I'm sure.
Okay. All right, anything else? Okay, if there's no other business, this meeting is adjourned at 8:49.